All right, we are live. Welcome to the Golden Broom Show. I am Tiger King, joined by my co-host.
I am the one and only Propellerhead, your Vanderbilt Commodores representative.
All right, guys, we have a nice show lined up for you tonight. We get to talk about what we saw over the weekend, what to expect this weekend. We get to debut the heat streak that we have done every year, but now we're at that time of the year where we can actually bring it out and show you guys. We've got our Dirty Sock Award to present. We also have our Golden Broom Award to present. So, that being said, let's start the show. All right. Well, Chris, I think you earned the opening segment. And you know what? With there being a no-no thrown the other day, let's go ahead and let's rep our sponsor in this one. Let them be the one that represents the no-no.
So I'm going to throw this out there real quick. One of our sponsors is Row One Brand. They offer authentic sportswear for sports fans. If you like stuff like the old school logos, they offer that. If you use the code VSP15, you will get 15% off of your first order. And their their items that they present are high quality material. I don't think you can go wrong if authentic sportswear is your thing. So go ahead and give Row One Brand a look and use that code VSP15 for your 15% discount. And and with that, since I'm graced with the opening, um, let's just say a no from Vanderbilt was not what I was expecting this weekend
I know,
at
right?
all. Combined no hitter with four pitchers. And what makes that significant is sans the 2020 season, which was ended because of COVID and didn't count toward anybody's eligibility. That makes four consecutive seasons that Vanderbilt pitching has thrown a no hitter. And what makes it even crazier is there was somebody on the field for the no hitter Saturday night or Sunday night against Minnesota that has been a part of every single no hitter of the last 4 years for Vanderbilt.
Really?
Yes, sir. That's wild. RJ Schreck, the
I've
senior,
heard that name talked about
the
many times.
the senior at Vanderbilt, he transferred in from Duke, was on the 2019 team with Duke when Kumar Rocker threw the 19 strikeout no hitter.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how just the metrics behind that thing and who was
Yeah,
involved. It's absolutely insane.
that really is insane. I mean, going into the weekend with Vanderbilt too, we thought that they would, handle business, but if you had told me there was going to be a no-no thrown, I wouldn't have expected it. But the fact that it happened against Minnesota, that's where you can talk a little smack to Bubba right there, I guess. But
I kind of got to leave him alone. That program beyond Northwestern might be the worst team in college baseball right now, and
yeah.
it's sad to see how far that program has fallen in 5 years.
Well, I was actually looking at the schedule for this weekend with Minnesota, and they have their most favorable week to date. If there is a time for them to get that first win, it is definitely this week, and definitely rooting for them. There's a page on Instagram that's a college baseball page. They're pretty new. I really cannot remember the name off the top of my head, but they every week they do like a little like chart, and like it'll say like your risers, your drops, your best team of the week, your player of the week, blah blah blah. Well, they had the worst team of the week was Northwestern, so I commented and I said, hey, you better watch out. Minnesota's giving them a run for their money, and I really hope that that doesn't end up being the case, but I also hope that Northwestern doesn't stay in that spot either because I really, really want the people that quit on that program to have some mud thrown in their face. So.
Right. Is that the College Baseball Central
Yeah.
group on? I follow them on TikTok.
Okay.
So,
Oh, they're okay. I didn't even know they were on TikTok. I've actually never seen anything college baseball on TikTok.
and
Interesting.
and and while we're at it, and we've mentioned College Baseball Central, one thing people are going to learn about me and Cody is we don't mind talking about other entities out there that cover the sport of college baseball. Uh,
Mhm.
we're going to tell you about In Off the Bench podcast with Jim Cross and Randy Jowers. We're going to tell you about the D1 rankings. We're going to tell you about college baseball newspaper. We're going to tell you about college baseball any other entity that covers the sport of college baseball. We're not afraid to throw their name out there
Sure.
because we're all after one thing, and that is to grow the game of college baseball.
100%. I want everybody to do good in this. I want to see college baseball be the most watched sport there is. I mean, will it get to that point? Who knows? But I want to see it grow. I don't care if you're a rinky-dink page with 5 fans or if you're a page with millions of fans. I want to see the sport grow. I want everybody happy with the sport. I don't want any animosity and any negativity. If you rep a college baseball page and you ever want us to talk about you, give us something to talk about. That's all I can say.
Or shoot us a message. We'll bring you on the
Yeah,
show.
absolutely.
There's a standing invitation for anybody if they want to jump on here and join with us to come on and do it. We certainly
100%.
don't mind, and we'd probably enjoy the company.
Absolutely. I'm ready for someone to be a guest with us on here. We are due for a guest.
Well, as that stands, I did have a person reach out to me that is interested in joining up with us.
Really?
That's an Arkansas fan.
Woo. Who? Now you got my interest.
It's a guy named George that I do a college basketball show with.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Very cool. Well, I'm all for it. Absolutely. I love talking some smack to some hogs. You'll never hear me complain.
right.
Um, so I'm looking at a couple of the scores right now. Speaking of the Hogs, I see they took out Army 7-5 today. That's a good win for them. Iowa beats Co College.
I know all the.
Who?
I know who Koa is.
Do you really?
They're actually a D2 school in college football. They have,
Really?
they have a solid college football program. They're typically going to win more than they lose in football.
I gotcha.
Typically, they're not a perennial powerhouse or anything like that, but they're in that 500 range just about every year.
Okay.
Little small school out in Iowa, and I love that Iowa brings them in and plays them and gives them a
Sure.
payday like that.
Absolutely.
Good for Iowa on doing that.
I'm also looking. I see Vanderbilt's gone final 12-1 over Tennessee Tech. Looks like very good pitching again today for them. 6 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, and 15 strikeouts. Can't ask for a better performance from your guys midweek.
And if you noticed, our typical Sunday starter Devin Futrell came in as a reliever today.
Saw that. Yeah, that's an interesting thing to see. But I have a question here. I'm looking at the stats. I see that Enrique Bradfield Jr., who congratulations on hitting 100 career stolen bases to him. He was 0 for 4 today with a run. He had 1 walk and that's it, but he had 4 stolen bases.
Yeah. Well, I'm not seeing the stolen bases that he had. I'm seeing 4. He got left on 4 times.
I'm trying to figure out how he got on base. Oh, I guess he probably had like a fielder's choice or something.
Fielder's choice. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, because I don't see any strikeouts. I guess I should put that out there that I fell asleep earlier, took a nap with my son, and I'm still getting into the element of life right now.
Now, the one thing that I do want to mention, with our bats, we have struggled at the plate all year long.
Mm-hmm.
RJ Schreck hit his 3rd home run He hit 2 over the weekend. He hit another one today. That's his third one on the year.
Wow.
His bat's starting to come alive. He hit 18 at Duke last year, so he does have some pop in his bat. See some other batting averages starting to climb up. Parker Nolan's up to 302. R.J. Austin, who had a really, really nice weekend, is up to 339. So the bats are starting to come alive a little bit.
Gotcha.
And for me, that's a good trend.
Absolutely.
Because after this weekend, we were 14th in batting average, 14th in slugging percentage, 14th in on base percentage. You got to get the bats to come alive if you're going to play a role in the SEC.
Absolutely. Speaking of the SEC, we have Tennessee's in a battle currently with Boston College in the bottom of the seventh. Boston College leads 4-3 right now, and whew, that shocks me right there. I see Malia Huna is finally playing. He's having a semi slow start offensively, but he's made some noise the last couple of games. I know he already had an error, which shocked me. And as I say that, Tennessee has tied it at 4. But yeah, I think going into today, Tennessee had 6 errors on the season. They had one more tonight. Let's see. I want to see who committed that error. If it was Ahuna, I'm going to just nope. It was Blake Burke that actually committed that error.
No, not King Blake.
That's why I name dropped. But yeah, Tennessee though they've been very, very consistent. So I can't hate on them.
So the thing about using StreamYards, sometimes you can't tell who is commenting on stuff. Just wanted to throw it out there. What's up, Sam? Glad to have you with us. Thanks again for being a loyal watcher of us. You've been in college baseball smack since the beginning, and love interacting with you.
Absolutely.
And speaking of which, that is a team I think people should keep an eye on. South Carolina is extremely good this year. They've got some solid pitching. They're currently 11-1. Unfortunately, that one loss was to the Dirty Birds down there in Clemson. But, that's a battle. South Carolina did win the series 2-1, and they outscored them 23-12 over the weekend. So, good showing from South Carolina over the weekend, taking care of the Clemson Tigers.
For sure. Yeah, I really like what South Carolina's got going on with them this year. I'm ready for conference play to start because that's one of the teams that I really want to see where they truly stand. And I have a feeling they will be in the upper half of the SEC this year. I really do. I think Georgia's going to be a team that's going to fall off. I think that I know Kentucky's going to be down there. Missouri, I don't know.
So that gives me a perfect segue into this. There's a team out there that I predicted would not qualify to play in the SEC tournament in Hoover. However, at this point in the season, let me check the scoreboard real quick. They are in the top of the 6th inning with an 8-0 lead. So might as well say they've got this game won. They would be currently 13-0. And that's kind of significant because we have an award that we call a heat streak. It's awarded to any team that wins 12 straight games. In winning 12 straight games, we feel like you deserve to have some attention thrown your way and let people know that, hey, this team is pretty hot right now. So we've had 2 teams make it to 13-0 already. And that would be Wake Forest and Alabama. I think we might even have a graphic for that, but I'm not sure.
Bam.
Oh, look at that. We did have another team today that reached 12-0, so they'll be getting their own heat streak here shortly. Not sure if we can get it done tonight or tomorrow, whatever. My graphic guy stays quite busy with his graphics and doing
Yes,
superb work for us.
I try.
But Alabama's 13-0. That's a team I want to see play SEC competition, because playing teams like Samford and that's just not indicative of what we're going to see when they get into conference play.
For sure.
Their hardest opponent right now was Tennessee Tech, and they beat Tennessee Tech 7-4, and you see Vanderbilt beat them today 12-1.
Sure.
If that's any indication. So, just wanted to throw that out there. I'm anxious to see what Alabama actually does in the SEC against real competition.
Oh, same for sure. Alabama's the team that every season they always start out with a really, really good out of conference record. And then when conference play starts, it's like they start in that big slope and then they just gradually drop. I think this season can be the season that changes, because if you actually look, they have the number one pitching in the SEC now after this
Right.
past weekend, which shocks me considering how Tennessee's been with their pitching. But um, they have a very veteran lineup. Pinckney started out really hot for him. He was leading, or actually, I think he was like top 3 in the nation in batting average for like the first maybe 2 weeks of the season, and then he's kind of fallen to where he's going to sit now. But they definitely have a lot of pop in that offense, and the pitching is, well, at the end of the day, don't care who you're playing. The pitching does what they're doing, you're going to win a lot of games. So, do I think Alabama's a top 25 team? Sure. For right now, I don't mind them being there. I don't know if that's where they're going to end up at the end of the year, but I guess that's what we have this season for. We get to find out.
Yep. And speaking of Wake Forest, and Alabama may end up getting this too. Last year, every time we awarded our Golden Broom out to somebody, the following week they lost.
Yep.
And so far at this point in the season, our heat streak is undefeated, because we awarded it
That's
to
right.
Wake Forest for getting 13-0, and surprisingly, they dropped the very next game. They got beat today by Coastal Carolina, 13-11, and that's an in-state rivalry game, and you know these mid majors get up to play these Power 5 conference teams. They really do. So it's not shocking to me that Coastal Carolina could come in there and put up 13 on them, because that's a Super Bowl for them. So
Absolutely.
more power to Coastal for going in there and getting that dub today. And no shade on Wake Forest for losing that game, because I'm not going to overreact to an in-state rival upsetting a Power 5 team.
Sure. And Coastal is definitely a top 40 team in the country right now. They've been fringe top 25 all season already. And if there's a team that my undefeated streak ends to, I would not be ashamed for it to be them.
Right.
So I guess while we're in our awards phase, I guess let's talk about the games in Minnesota this weekend. Obviously Vanderbilt with the best game of the weekend with their no against Minnesota, and then they had the most thrilling win against Maryland, which was a crazy ending. That game was just fun to watch in general.
Speaking of Maryland, I am very disappointed in them. I had them in my preseason top 10 in my personal list.
Sure.
I think they were in the top 15 in the college baseball smack preseason poll.
Yep.
And while I'm on here, I do see a correction. Coastal is in South Carolina. I do apologize for that. But, it's one of them Carolina rivalries that's going to go down. But back on this Maryland, they go down to Ole Miss last week and don't put up a good showing. Then they go up to Minnesota this week and go over. And not only go over, but they lost to Ole Miss again. They've lost 3 out of 4 to them. They couldn't beat Vanderbilt. That was really struggling. We left 13 guys on the plate or on the bases against Maryland, and they couldn't take advantage of it and beat us. And then they got smacked around on Sunday. I'm not understanding what's going on with Maryland, but because of their poor showing at the Cambria Classic in Minneapolis, the Maryland Terrapins have been awarded this week's Dirty Sock Award. So the Dirty Sock, if you're not familiar with that, that's given to a team that just goes out and absolutely lays an egg, and that's what they did this weekend. So they get the nasty, dirty, stinky, smelly sock.
Absolutely. And I will say, though, a close second for the Dirty Sock was definitely Michigan. They went 0-5 on the week, and it was a painful week for them. Now they have 7 games this week, so we'll see if they can bounce back from that goose egg they left. But, yeah, Maryland, I'm very disappointed because Maryland's a team that, I mean, they should be a regional team for sure. But now I don't know what they're going to do because really, they hadn't even hit the meat of their schedule yet. Yes, they played some talented teams recently, but when Big Ten play starts, I mean, they almost could win every game in the Big Ten and probably not get in due to all the losses they had in the games that mattered. So,
and now they've got some company in the Big Ten. You got Illinois out here playing well. You got Ohio State that went out and won the Frisco Classic this weekend. You got Iowa that team is, their pitching is just absolutely unreal. They've won 7 games in a row. And now you got Nebraska that started the year off pretty bad, that's starting to gain some traction and playing really well.
They really are.
And actually, the Nebraska-Ole Miss game on Sunday, saw some people talking about that might be for a spot in the top 25. We see that Ole Miss won the game, but if Nebraska is being considered after the poor start to the season they had, that's telling that they've got that ship righted and headed in the right direction.
For sure. Let's see. And actually, Nebraska won against Northern Colorado last night. They're playing, or no, I'm sorry, they won tonight against Northern Colorado 12-1. They play them again tomorrow. Then they have a series with Illinois State this weekend. So, I mean, honestly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Their next 9 to 10 games are winnable, and then they have Illinois. And we're going to find out where they really are when they play Illinois.
Right. And Illinois going into Southern Miss last weekend and taking that series, that was an eye-opener for me.
For sure.
I didn't know Illinois was going to be good like that, but apparently they are.
Absolutely. And, the way Illinois has been playing, I mean, man, it's hard to, say that they're not going to end up as a top 16 team at the end of the season. I mean, they have actually looked really consistent, and I definitely look forward to seeing where the season goes with them. But unfortunately for them also, they're in the Big Ten, and I remember a few years ago they had that amazing season, and they really didn't get any love in the polls for it.
So I'm just looking at the Big Ten scoreboard tonight. Once again, Northwestern going down. Not a good thing. Not for that program. And Minnesota on the verge of a win.
What's the score?
Minnesota is up 5-2 in the 8.
Yes. That makes me happy. I love to see a winless team finally get that first win of the season. Hopefully this can be the motivation they need to turn the ship around and start playing up to their potential, because Minnesota has been so good over the last few seasons, and I know we've pretty much echoed this on every show so far. Them being 0-9 that ain't right. They have too much talent to be that bad.
So we do have eyes on another program tonight in this midweek portion of the schedule. Trying to find out their schedule today to see if they play. Oh, they do play. Troy.
Yes, that's actually who I just pulled up. Yeah, they've got a tough little 5 game stretch this week.
Made it to 11-0. And tonight they're playing Florida Gulf Coast.
They got them again tomorrow night.
They're currently leading 5-2 in the fifth.
Wow.
And we like to highlight these mid majors because without mid majors, college baseball wouldn't be what it is. Troy is one of them programs. You hear about them every once in a while, but I don't think they ever get the credit that they deserve for being a solid athletic university.
And they really are. I mean, they're 2 hours away from where I currently live. And with Troy, I mean, in football, every year, Troy is always a menace. I mean, every season. This year, they had a very good team. I mean, a few years ago, they beat LSU. Shouldn't have happened. They're always consistent in football, but now that they're finally getting there in baseball, I mean, I'm thrilled to see it because, I mean, that program, I mean, they have a little bit of money. Don't get me wrong, they do. But if you go look at their facilities and everything, basic. So I'm very, very happy to see where they are. I mean, this year they've, in state-wise, they beat UAB, but they also beat USC Upstate, we've actually talked about them on our last show. You know, they actually started out pretty hot, and then unfortunately they took a few losses, but they do hold a win over Clemson. USC Upstate does. So Troy sweeping them. I mean, it's not bad.
Right. And then they went 32-24 last year, so starting the year out red hot like they are is not a surprise.
Absolutely not, yeah.
I'm looking forward just to see where they end up on the season. See if they can challenge a team like I believe Southern Miss is in that conference.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Southern Miss is in there, and Southern Miss is the odds-on favorite to win it. And Georgia State's in there, team that hosted a regional last year. So I think it's going to be fun to see if Troy can get in there and battle with those two teams. And I think I just said that wrong. Georgia State didn't host. It was Georgia Southern that hosted last year.
Which is the next team I want to talk about tonight, actually.
And, I want to see if they can get in there and rub some elbows with those two teams and maybe make a statement and take one of them down or both.
Absolutely. Yeah, Troy this weekend, they have a 3-game series with UCF. They have Florida Gulf Coast again tomorrow night. That's a 5-game stretch that's a nightmare for any program considering UCF has been pretty hot this year. They really have been. Now, that leads me into talking about Georgia Southern, who many people should respect because they have a very, 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 very good team. They took the series. They took 2 or 3 from UCF this past weekend. They have Georgia tonight and tomorrow, but then they have another Big Ten terror, Rutgers, this weekend. Who we're waiting on Rutgers to be Rutgers.
Right.
And I say that if Georgia Southern can get through this week, I say you give me 4 or 5 games, they win those. That's another team that's knocking on the door to be in the top 25 for sure.
Right. And speaking of Rutgers, this team. I personally had them. I think I had them like 24 or 25.
Mm-hmm.
They should have been in the tournament last year.
Yes, they should have.
They didn't get in, and they have started out with a 4-7 record. Lost the series opening weekend at Campbell. They've lost to Ball State and Boston College. They got swept this weekend by UNC Greensboro. They're just not measuring up to what the groundwork that they laid last year.
Mm-hmm. 100% agree. I'm wondering if they must have lost quite a few players off that team from last year. I haven't looked deep into them, but I mean that's definitely a big drop off for them. Oh,
Anything out west catch your eye last week?
yes, Cal State Fullerton taking 2 or 3 from Texas. Texas is continuing to just throw that gasoline on that dumpster fire this year, and it's a shame to see because the Texas team that I saw play LSU last week, that showed some promise. And now that also could have been because it was at home in a very hostile environment, but that was a crazy environment to witness. And then they play Cal State Fullerton, and I guess you can almost call me a Fullerton homer because I've talked about Fullerton on every show that we've done. I think it's just because I've always liked the program, but they Fullerton is finally, I think they're finally getting that ship righted, and I think it's about time for Fullerton to start hitting a couple streaks here because they definitely have the talent and they showed that against Stanford in week 1. And the fact they can take 2 or 3 from Texas, I feel like that's a very good spot to be in. I know Texas is definitely down this year compared to past years, but I think Cal State Fullerton is a team to definitely keep your eyes on.
And we have one of our favorite people chiming in, Jody Robinson. I am a Fullerton homer. Damn it.
What do you know about Fullerton?
Do tell.
Yeah. Oh man.
And I'll say this. We played Fullerton in Omaha in, I want to say it was 2014 or 2015. One of those 2 years. And had Nebraska weather not intervened, Vanderbilt doesn't make the College World Series finals that year
Mm-hmm.
because they had a pitcher on the mound, a soft tossing lefty that was just eating us for lunch. Had thrown like a 2-hitter into the 8th inning, and they
I remember
postponed the
that game.
game instead of calling it, and they waited out the night, and it just got to be too late. Instead of calling the game, they brought him back out the next day. He was no longer pitching. Will Toffee, it was in 2015. Will Toffee comes out. We score the winning runs, end up winning the game. Had that rain not intervened, Vanderbilt was beat the night before.
Yeah.
So I will 100% always give Fullerton the respect. I think they got jobbed in that game, but I can't really complain because the Commodores did benefit from that.
There you go. I like Fullerton. I always I don't know. It's like I feel like they're like all right. So when I look at like certain college football teams, let's say you look at University of Alabama, you see Nick Saban, you see someone that's like they're strictly business. That's how they just have the aura about them. For me, Cal State Fullerton, in the early 2000s, the late 90s, and all that, they had that aura about them. And I love to see that, and because of that, I've always just kept up with them, and I always will because I don't know, I just like them. I like the Titans.
And we can remind everybody that Cal State Fullerton is actually one of those teams that's in the discussion of greatest team ever.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
because if you remember, didn't they go like 72-14 the year
Yeah,
they
it
won
was
the
a
college?
crazy.
You know, when you win the College World Series and you got a record like that, you're in the discussion as one of the greatest ever.
Hmm.
Uh, I put, you know, for me, it's Fullerton's in that discussion. The 2019 Vanderbilt, the 2009 LSU, you know, those are teams that are in line to be called the greatest ever. Despite some fancy regular season records and from two teams that wear orange. Wait a minute. Would that be Oregon State and Tennessee that put together fancy regular season? You don't get to join the discussion of greatest teams ever unless you win a championship.
And here's a fun little sidestep for that Oregon State team. They went and they lost to LSU, and they lost the pitcher in that game was Caleb Gilbert, who was a very reliable pitcher for LSU for the seasons he was there. Then unfortunately he had some arm issues, had surgery and all that, and just never really got back into his own. And he had to he just hung it up. He quit playing baseball, and he actually now owns a woodworking shop here locally in Hoover, and they make like very high end furniture and all that. And it's just crazy to see someone that did what he did in that game, not being a regular weekend starter, just kind of really a fill-in because we had an injury on our pitching staff. Now he's not even playing baseball anymore. He's, making tables.
And there we have Mr. Bubba, one of the creators of this group. I know he's got a lot of stuff going on. I think he's got a knee injury right now from work. Still working a lot of hours, family at home, got some visitors in, got a lot going on, and looking forward to getting him on here at some point in time. But
For sure.
Understand that he's kind of busy right now.
If you call that busy.
Oh, and never mind that his oldest son, their high school, just played in a state tournament today in the state of Iowa. So, and his son's in the band at that school. So,
okay,
kind of a busy time of year for him.
For sure. We're hitting that softball stage right now, and man, I practiced last night. The coach, I could tell she needed a little bit of help, so she asked if I could catch, and I'll just tell you, I hadn't caught in 18 years. And this morning, I get up to go to work. My legs were locked up. My back was locked up. I was like, oh, my gosh.
Did your knees crackle a little bit when you got down in position?
Oh, absolutely. I kid you not. My left knee actually did pop. I was like, oh. And then it was all good. Thankfully, I didn't take any foul balls off my body or anything, so I survived. Man, it felt like it was never going to end.
But see, you got that good beard game going on. If the foul ball hits you, it's probably not going to hurt.
Oh, it's going to bounce. Yeah, it's going to bounce right off of it. Here we go. Here's a question. Who did Iowa beat today? They beat Coe College. Chris knows about Coe College, and I have never heard of them.
Coe College is a small school out in Iowa. Right now I think they might be a Division II club, but I'm not sure. But they're solid when it comes to football. They generally have if they're right around the 500 mark in football most years. And I think it's credit to Iowa for bringing a small school like that in and letting them kids experience what it's like to play big time baseball at the collegiate level.
Absolutely. So every week on our podcast, I go into a segment where I talk about my crazy stat of the week. And obviously it's always about Southeastern Louisiana because what they do on the base path is ridiculous and how they get on base. But this week, that is not my team, even though, let me just say, 54 hit by pitches in 12 games now going into today. That's absurd. But the team that I'm talking about today for my crazy stat of the week is the first team that I can remember that technically won a game but lost the game, and that's Louisiana Tech against Ole Miss last week, where they had the lead, but due to the previous inning, Ole Miss did not want to resume the game. They wanted to resume the game. They wanted to either postpone it to a later time. Louisiana Tech wanted to play that game and finish it. They were winning, I believe, 5-4 when the game got called, but since the inning had not finished, they gave the score from the previous inning and gave Ole Miss the 4-3 victory. That right there, Louisiana Tech went 5-0 last week in my eyes. But I think that rule needs to be changed. I get what they're doing, but it was so stupid. So stupid.
So let me address that rule because you're not the first one that's ever seen it here. 2018, Vanderbilt is playing at MTSU. It's like 4-1, bottom of the fourth. Vanderbilt puts up like 12 runs, jump out to a big lead, and go to the fifth inning. Well, we scored the runs in the top of the fifth. Okay, we take the lead. The game's at MTSU, and here comes the thunderstorm. We wanted to finish the game and wait it out. MTSU said no. And then MTSU was coming to Nashville later on in the season. We're like, well, we'll just finish it up there. Again, MTSU says no. So, because of the rule being what it is, it reverted back to the last completed inning, which was the fourth, and it went down as a no contest. No win,
I would be okay with a no contest.
but you want to get that midweek win, though.
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm saying like if I were like in Louisiana Tech's shoes, at least not a loss. I don't like
Right,
the idea of a loss being thrown.
right. So
But it still
that
BS.
rule is, I can understand it if it reverts back to the fourth inning, it's a no contest.
Yes.
But beyond the fourth inning, you have to finish the game.
I agree.
If one of the teams is willing to play it, you have to be willing to finish it. You just can't.
I agree.
I don't think you should have the power to say no.
Yep.
So, especially if you're going to play later in the season at some point. I hadn't looked at their schedule to see if they do, but in my opinion, Ole Miss, La Tech, you're what, 200 miles apart. You figure out a way to finish the game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no excuse for it. It's ridiculous. And La Tech, they swept Northwestern last week, which really unfortunately is not saying much at this point. But I mean that would have been a 5-0 week that would have just looked really good for them. And it's a shame, but we got to move on, I guess. And hopefully La Tech keeps it up because I like when the state of Louisiana is doing good at baseball.
Yeah. To see La Tech having a good year is always good. So, I wish they would have finished the game somehow or waited it out. The whole deal with MTSU, when it happened to us, we all knew the weather was coming for 3 days before it came.
Mm-hmm.
So the weather's coming. Instead of starting the game at 4 o'clock, knowing you're going to run into rain, move the start time up, start earlier, do something and make an effort to get that game in.
100% agree. And that weather, that was some of the weirdest weather. So we got hit pretty hard with it here. I know up in Tennessee got hit hard with it because it went a little bit north. Baton Rouge saw none of that weather somehow. It went right over them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so they were able to get their games in no problem last week. LSU went 5-0 for the week. I guess if you want to count Monday as part of that week, since it was part of the series, I will. They outscored their opponents 57-4 over the weekend. 3 mercy rule wins. It wasn't really much of a challenge. It was nice seeing Tommy White finally get his home run, and he hit 2 in that game. Cade Veloso came in off the bench, and he actually got a start yesterday, and he got a couple home runs, looking really good. Dylan Cruz is Dylan Cruz. I mean, LSU is actually sitting at a point right now where they have the best fielding percentage they've had in quite a while. And a Jay Johnson team with a good fielding percentage is weird to me because he is notoriously a coach of a team with a bad fielding percentage. But LSU, I believe, was sitting at 992 with only, I want to say it was 2 or 3 errors on the season. And I mean, it's like none of the. Well, I tell you that Trey Morgan did have an error the other day, and he's the only starter with an error on the season. The rest are backups or a pitcher. So can't really complain on that front. And this weekend we have Samford at home, which is again not really saying much for us in terms of the challenge department. But we have Lamar tomorrow night, which for me that's an awesome midweek matchup to have, and I'm very excited for that game.
So wanted to touch on. Jody brings it to our attention that Missouri's playing better than expected this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they are playing much better than expected. Had a really nice showing out there in the College Baseball Classic, in which Vanderbilt went 2-1 in. Missouri had a good showing out there, knocked off Texas. The only problem with that is once they get it, the SEC is such a different animal.
Mm-hmm.
when they get into the SEC play, is that going to translate into winning some SEC games? That's
Sure.
something they haven't done in quite a while, and I'm just going to say it. Good Missouri baseball is going to make the SEC better.
I 100% agree.
No,
And it's just like a.
I fully believe iron sharpens iron.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, Missouri's always had a pretty consistent team since they've joined the SEC. They definitely a few seasons ago when they had good pitching, good defenders, and they made a mark. This year they're definitely surpassing all expectations, and I'm loving every bit of it.
Yep.
Because they have not had an easy road to do it. They haven't had an Alabama schedule to do that. They
haven't.
They've had to earn everything. Looking at the schedule. Go ahead.
Yeah, taking 2 out of 3 at the College Baseball Showdown. Down there in Arlington at the Rangers facility, that's a good showing.
Absolutely. And speaking of Arlington, UT Arlington's actually up 8-5 late against TCU right now. That's interesting.
I'm wondering did TCU play their best ball of the season?
Had to have. I mean, it's like
Arlington.
It's like they prepared for the College World Series the first weekend of the season. I mean, I think that's got to be what it is.
It just seems like they played their best ball of the year at that tournament, and
yeah,
they haven't been the same since.
Absolutely not, and it's very strange because myself and pretty much everybody else, we all thought TCU was top 5 team after that, and the way they played. I mean, there was no arguing it. Best resume in baseball at that point.
Right.
So, I don't know. But I know one thing, looking at this weekend's schedule, there are actually quite a few good matchups on there to pay attention to. I think a very underrated series is the Stanford and Southern Cal series. I think that is I mean Southern Cal they went 0-2-1 against Auburn on the road, but they were very competitive in those games. Auburn's a very respectable program. It being I mean, I don't really know if it'll make a difference if it's at Southern Cal or at Stanford. This series is at Southern Cal. Stanford, I think they're gonna have their hands full this weekend. I really do. I think Stanford should come out on top and at least take the series, but I think they're gonna have their hands full with Southern Cal.
So, got some drama unfolding in Knoxville.
I like some drama.
5-5, top of the ninth. Boston College at the plate, nobody out, nobody on. They just started the night.
Okay.
So
I was hoping you were going to say bases loaded.
Looks like Zach Joyce has got to pitch a couple innings or so, and they brought in Seth Halverson to seal the deal there. But we'll see if he gets the job done and if Tennessee can pull this out in the night.
Sure, absolutely. I hope it ends up being some kind of dramatic ending. I want something fun to happen there because it's always nice to see a team with their back against the wall, especially in the midweek.
Wouldn't it be just a Tennessee thing for somebody like Blake Burke to hit a solo shot in the ninth to walk it off, or Maui Ahuna after all that drama this year to come to the plate and hit a walk-off home run and get their 12th 12th straight win to get a heat streak. We got so
I
many
will
awards, I get them confused.
I will say this: I will not put a Tennessee heat streak on our screen until Randy Jowers is on the show. I'm just saying.
Oh boy, I like that.
I think he has to present it because I refuse to present that to him. So, Chris, let me ask you for this weekend, who do you have? Wake Forest at Duke.
I'm gonna go. Wake Forest takes that series 2-1.
Okay, that's where I'm leaning. I mean that's a fun series right there. Duke has been pretty consistent this year. They're 9-3 on the season. They killed Baylor. I mean they just made Baylor look like a middle school baseball team. But that being said, yeah, Wake Forest though, I think that they're probably gonna be pretty mad going into that series after suffering their first loss. So ain't no telling what we're gonna see this weekend with that series.
That's a call out right there, Mr. Bubba, saying he's taking Duke.
Okay, okay. I like that. I mean, honestly, this will be the biggest challenge for Wake Forest this season, really. Um,
Yeah, that'll be a good. That should be a good series. Just miles apart, you know.
yep.
So I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Wake Forest wins 2-1.
I can see that. Let's see what was another good series this weekend on here. Liberty at East Carolina is
Oh,
another good series.
that'll be tasty.
Absolutely. Virginia at North Carolina. That's one I'm gonna have to watch that one actually.
Two
Um,
top two top 15 programs right there.
yep. NC State travels to Miami this weekend. That I mean, I know Miami they had an off weekend this past weekend against Florida. This right here, this will be their make or break, I feel like. And then
We
Iowa at
find
Texas Tech too.
Vanderbilt finally gets a reprieve for a weekend. They play at home against Loyola Marymount. Uh, I will welcome the refreshing aspect of not having to worry about dropping 2 out of 3. But now watch, as I say that,
They're getting swept.
our bats will be dead and we'll get swept.
I mean, Loyola, they're 5-5. Oklahoma State took 2 or 3 from them. So,
And I want to highlight one series that we haven't touched on. There's a team out here floating around. Very, very good. They just took 2 out of 3 against Miami. The Florida Gators are hosting Siena this weekend. And why I want to bring that up is today we had a retirement in college baseball. The longest serving head coach in college baseball decided to retire today. The Siena coach announcing that this morning. And for me, you know, you hate that it's coming early in the season like that. But, you know, we know things like that happen. But I wanted to give a shout out to Siena that, you know, we see you and we
yes.
see the longevity of your coach and how you've been able to maintain all these years. Tony Rossi was amazing for that program.
I can't imagine keeping a job for 54 years. I mean, that is just a long time.
That tells me he was doing something right.
Absolutely. I mean, a crazy stat is, I mean, win percentage was under 500, but yet he still had, 5 MAC championships. They actually had I want to say it was like 34-22 record in the MAC tournament. And they're like third overall in the conference in conference championships. I mean, it's amazing. They made two NCAA regionals in his tenure. But a thing to mention also is that I believe it was only like about 30, maybe it was like 31 years or something like that they've actually been D1. So, I mean, the whole time they actually didn't qualify for it for a lot of the seasons. So, they made two regionals. They actually, their first ever regional victory was against Dallas Baptist.
It's just, and you hate to see a guy like that walk away, but you know, when you're building a new program and you keep that kind of longevity, uh, it's something to be impressive about or be impressed by.
Absolutely.
And if I'm not mistaken, uh, I'm with Bubba on this. I think that makes John Anderson the longest tenured active coach in college baseball right now
Uh, I believe so,
at
actually.
at Minnesota. So
That's amazing.
I know Tim Corbin's got 20 years at Vanderbilt. I don't think that's close. Was Dave Van Horn at Arkansas before Corbin got to Vanderbilt, or was that later?
I want to say he came later. Obviously, I'm Googling that one now. Dave Van Horn has been, oh, he's in season 20 right now. He started in 03.
Okay, so Corbin and Van Horn same time.
I didn't realize Van Horn had been in Arkansas for that long. I knew he'd been there for a long time. I just didn't realize it was that long. Huh. Well,
But then
then,
you get a place like Florida State that's got a first year coach.
well, that makes me wonder with Sienna. I wonder if he had like a coach in waiting situation or if they're actually going on the market to hunt for a new coach.
The drama has intensified.
Uh-oh.
6'5" Boston College, runners at the corners, 2 out, and I'm just guessing they might be making a pitching change. Just
Probably
guessing.
so.
Just guessing. I'm not watching it. I think Randy's actually watching it.
He is. He just got home, he said. Man, this is crazy.
I can't imagine leaving Halverson in to, after giving up a run and a couple of hits and
Yeah,
not looking like the Seth Halverson that we expected him to look like.
for sure.
Bubba says John Anderson's been at Minnesota for about 41 years.
Dang.
That's a long time.
That really is. I mean, I think anyone that stays somewhere over 10 seasons, that's impressive. 41? Good Lord. Man.
Another
But yeah,
another spicy series is going to be number 16 UCLA at Oregon.
yes. Let's see if Oregon can finally put the pieces together and have a solid weekend.
Number 23 Iowa at Texas Tech.
That actually I think is going to be the most entertaining series of the weekend because even though Texas Tech is probably the most inconsistent team in the country, they're either fantastic or they're flat. And I want to see both teams with their A game going into that series because Iowa showed me that they've got the skill. Now I want to see them keep, putting it out there. The only negative is I hate that Texas Tech got bumped from the top 25 because that would have looked really, really good. I mean, winning the series would still look great for Iowa. Man, that would have just been a cherry on top to have a big top 25 matchup like that.
I just got to know if our good friend Ben Fry is sweating this weekend a little bit. 11-1 Washington State at number 25 Oregon State.
I'm excited for that. Washington State's definitely come on this year, and they played some fantastic baseball. I think if Washington State wants to, make that next step, this is their weekend to do it right here.
Here's one that might get interesting. New Jersey Tech at Missouri.
Okay. New Jersey Tech is a thorn in the side to many teams. This that's going to be interesting, to say the least.
That'll be a fun weekend.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Just scrolling through here, just seeing who plays who. Let's see. Bellarmine, another solid mid-major going to Indiana.
That'd be interesting. Let's see.
I'm not seeing a lot more beyond those.
Yeah, this is that, prep weekend.
Cal State and Pepperdine.
I like that one.
UC Irvine Gonzaga.
That's going to be a low scoring series. I really think it's going to be down to the pitching in that one. Oh, hey, actually, here's a interesting series: Oklahoma at Houston.
La Tech in Arkansas.
Ooh,
that one got spicy last year.
Yes, and that can be some redemption for La Tech right there. They need that. And when I say redemption, I mean due to the Ole Miss fiasco, they just need to beat an SEC team.
I did see where Arkansas has announced that Brady Tigert did not have a tear.
Oh, good.
It was only a strain. He should be back throwing in a couple of weeks. He's going to take some time off. But they did lose another player this week to injury. I want to say it's a pitcher that's having his procedure done in the morning.
Jeez.
I think. That may have been posted. Crazy. It may have been posted yesterday. I did see where when they made the announcement, they said his procedure would take place in the morning.
Okay.
Whether it was yesterday or today.
I gotcha. That, man, Illinois and Coastal, that's going to be fun this weekend.
That one could get spicy.
Absolutely.
I love using that word spicy.
It's a good one to use in baseball. Coastal's got a stretch, though, this weekend. So they got the 3 right there with Illinois, but then they have Campbell midweek next week.
Boston College ties it up with a home run from Christian Moore.
Man.
I think that's his name. Ain't his name Christian? Yeah, Christian Moore.
I think so.
And the one that you don't want to see at the plate is Blake Burke in the bottom of the 9th in a tie ball game with nobody out.
Let's see here. That's crazy that they tied it up. Yep. I swear to God, if he hits a walk-off home run right here, I'm calling you the Nostra propeller head.
It's always the prescient tweet is what we call it on Twitter land. You'll see it all the time. You'll see it all the time where somebody will say, my life for a walk-off home run here, and somebody will hit a home run, and then everybody will start retweeting it. The prescient tweet, the prescient tweet.
I'm very curious to how this one's going to play out now. Then you have Zane Denton on deck. That doesn't get any better for Boston College for sure. Man.
You pulled up the box score, didn't you?
Oh, I sure did.
Oh, and
that.
he hit the home run on a 1-2 count.
Ooh. If I'm a pitcher, I think I would have tried to throw some junk on that 1-2 count, but apparently he left that sucker over the plate. Blake Burt triple down the right field line.
Come on, Boston.
So, if Tim Corbin was the coach here, you would have a squeeze play. What does Tennessee do right here? Do you take the risk of a bunt? Do you put a pinch runner in for Blake Burke right now?
You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm putting Jaslov in as a pinch runner, and I'm going to have Denton. Oh, they did bring a pinch runner in. Now I'm going to have Denton lay a bunt down on the first base line.
Absolutely. If this plays out and Tennessee wins by doing this, that shows that we know a little bit about baseball.
Absolutely. I'm having Denton bunt it down the first base line.
Absolutely. I mean, that nothing else you could ask for.
Let's see if our friend Randy agrees. I mean, that's why you put the speed in, is that's what you're looking to do.
For sure.
You don't put the speed in unless that's what your intention is.
The thing is, though, how good of a bunter is Zane? Because this is a very easy situation to mess up.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, Boston College making some defensive changes to get a better arm in there.
Yep. That's a 1-1 count. And again, it does not get any easier for Boston College because Dickey is on deck, who is also another good hitter. So, man.
This is interesting.
It really is.
Live action as it happens.
And it's a 3-1 count. Oh my gosh. I think this is a great closing to the show right here, to be honest. We either get to celebrate or screw up.
Apparently, Boston College has moved 5 guys into the infield.
And it's a 3-2 count, so he's not going to bunt right here probably, unless he just really trusts him.
So now you let him hack.
Oh my gosh. Grounded out to first base. Well, dang. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I still say risk it. I say go for a bunt right here.
Oh, you know, and there's nothing wrong, you know, with predicting plays. Um, we all know that Tim Corbin and Tony Vitello are polar opposites.
Yes,
We know exactly what Corbin's going to do right here. But is it fair to say that Tony Vitello should do the same thing? I mean,
I would hope so. I mean, for him to have the level of job that he has, I mean, there's got to be some common sense there.
but if they've moved everybody to the infield, you got to play that too. And,
True.
you know,
And they changed pitchers, so it's going to be a little bit of a delay.
so now it looks like they're playing chess, trying to get matchups. You know, uh, lefties against trying to get lefties on lefties, and they're playing the chess,
Yep,
and that's always fun to see who wins the chess match.
absolutely.
Bubba says Boston College baseball is sewing hockey up. Oh, somebody Golden Broom Red Zone basically end the show. So yeah, why not? We're going Red Zone at Lindsey Nelson Stadium live on Golden Broom Show tonight, uh, for your viewing enjoyment to bring an end to this segment this week. So as soon as this plays out in the ninth inning here, we'll discuss it for a moment, and then we'll call it a show. But we don't want to leave until this is over with, because
Yeah, this is too suspenseful. I really wish that right here in the center of the screen that we could have like the game just showing. And
um,
while we have gotten pretty good with our tech savviness on here, that's out of our wheelhouse for the moment.
so I did see something the other day, and I'm gonna try it. I don't know how it
Okay.
works, but I'm gonna try it. I saw something the other day, and I can't remember where I saw it at.
All right, you got a 1-1 count right now. It's a Dickey with the new pitcher, lefty Matthew Noonan on the mound.
I don't remember where I saw this. Wait a minute.
Whoa, wait, what? Oh my God. Boston College turns a double play, goes to the 10th inning.
My goodness.
Oh my gosh. Jared Dickey flew out to center field, and Payne was out at home. Center field he threw to third baseman who threw it home. Oh my gosh.
I can't remember.
Wow.
I can't remember where I saw this. Somewhere in here, there's a screen share. I can't remember where I found it the other
Ah,
day.
okay. The only negative about the screen share is it will not let you share anything from like a Watch ESPN or any cable provider. It's like it blacks the screen. I may or may not have tried that before.
And that's the beauty here is that, this wouldn't be from one of those sites. This is it's a box score.
Oh,
But I can't remember where I found it.
let me see what I can figure out here.
Ha! Found it under present, share screen. There we go. There we go.
Hey.
I got to figure out how to.
That's like screwing with my head right there.
So how's that? Can you see the box score?
Man, I can see everything. That's perfect.
Just give everybody an idea of what's going on here.
Absolutely. It's like, oh.
So, how's that? We can do some wild stuff.
That's nice. That's very nice to know right there.
Boston College Baseball on Twitter.
That's not a bad idea right there. Try to do a radio broadcast.
Well, we've had some fun. We played around a little bit tonight. We did a little bit of what do you call it?
Play-by-play.
Yeah, did a little Golden Broom red zone tonight. So, but it's been fun talking to everybody tonight, and
for sure.
I know Cody's got some stuff to do, and
yeah.
I got to finish off my my milk because it does the body good. And you notice I'm using a Vanderbilt cup directly from the stadium.
I like it.
But we did have the Golden Broom went to the Louisville Cardinals. They had a really nice weekend. Went down to Houston and absolutely took names down there at the Shriners Classic.
They sure did.
Again, the Dirty Sock Award went to Maryland for, I'm just going to say, they didn't even show up in Minnesota. Went 0-3 at the Cambria Classic. Very disappointing beginning to the season. And, of course, we have our two flame-worthy awards. Or not flame-worthies. These are heat streaks. The difference. Once you get to 12-0, we want to bring some attention to your program and let everybody know, hey, this team is heating up. Thus the name Heat Streak. And if they ever get to 20-0 or somebody gets to 20-0, we do have something in store for that. But we're going to have to wait until that happens. We haven't played 20 games yet. We'll see if anybody gets there. Currently, we have 5 undefeated teams. Well, that number is now 4 because Wake Forest went down today. It's Alabama, North Carolina State,
Troy
and Virginia. Yep. So we'll see if any of them can get to 20-0. If Tennessee wins this game, which they're down by 1 again, 7-6 in the 10th. If Tennessee wins the game, it'll be their 12th win in a row.
Man, that's crazy. Well, guys, we thank you for watching tonight. I'm going to go and help get the kiddo put to bed because she's being a little turd, apparently. So, on that note, hopefully something good happens in this Tennessee game. I see Leary just hit a home run, so like Chris said, it's 7-6 in the 10th right now. So we'll see how that plays out. But until probably later this week, I know I have softball practice Friday, so maybe Thursday or Saturday we'll do another show, and we'll see you then.
All right. Have a good week, guys.
All right.